Oh my goodness, look at this! Something very special about Encounterland is that things happen here. Hello, dear beautiful human. I'm so happy to be here with you right now and bring you this really enchanting. Oh my goodness. Okay, what happened is that my camera, my phone, it fell. I have a lot of snow stuck to the microphone right now and to the phone itself. Okay, let's continue. As I said, I'm so happy to be here with you and to bring you this Encounterland magic and beauty of the snow. I personally like snow a lot. It is super special to me and super magical that the whole world can change overnight, literally. I go to sleep in the evening and it's one scenery, and I wake up in the morning and it's completely different. So it always connects me to how sometimes things in life happen completely out of the ordinary, how to say it? Completely out of the ordinary way. So, for example, when we want to accomplish something like growing a business, we would need to make sure that we have an amazing product that gives value to people. Then we need to make sure that we are building a marketing strategy around it. So, there are different steps. And then there are all kinds of magical things, like you suddenly meet someone or something just happens. All kinds of things can happen. And this is what I want to talk to you about in this video. I'm a strong supporter in the manifestation of the reality that I desire to be balancing yin and yang. So traditionally, just because of my ability to sense the magical reality, I would be really plunged into the yin aspect, where I just melt and I am everything and nothing, and it's just waves of pleasure. And at some point, I realized that if I want to accomplish specific material things in this life, I really need to bring in the yang component, which is the component where I'm actually going and doing and building strategies that relate to this specific reality. And I have to tell you that for me, in my path, I had to, and I continue to really unschool shame around it, because somehow, if you're a spiritual person, if you're devoted to the universe, to love, then you shouldn't be caring about all these material things. And this is actually something that you will find in different spiritual texts. Luckily, the more I discovered Tantra, the more I explored and discovered alternative ways to practice devotion and to expand and to grow spiritually, I realized, okay, there are ways, rather than trying to push the attachment to the material away, to surrender to that too, to include that too as a part of my humanity, and to give this human what she desires. Now, from the perspective of responsibility, of co-creation. So that was my work that I had to do, and that I still do. And I can tell you that only when I embraced the yang, when I realized, okay, yes, I want to be developing my business, I want to be building my retreat center, and I am the one responsible, so I'm going to make actions. This is when I began to make much more consistent actions, and I began to see expansion in my business and in my financial situation, which was really awesome, because this is not the experience I had before. And I had to be very honest with myself that to be constantly in the in component for me was stressful, because that means that I need to rely completely on the universe. And maybe you can do this, but I had to acknowledge that it was too much, that I just needed to make certain things happen in my physical reality. I needed to make sure that I'm having an income. to pay for this beautiful magical house and all the expenses for my living, that I can be relaxed and anchored and really much more available to serve people so that my business can keep growing while serving others as well. Ah, so beautiful. And guess what happened? I began to lean more into the yang. And the more you lean into the yang and the more you lean into the earth, materialistic reality, the more loneliness and the more loss of meaning begins to happen. At least that's what it was for me. And I was suddenly not sure, why am I doing? What am I doing for? Something began to miss the more I got into the grind of trying to be doing things and thinking that this is the only way. It's really fascinating how the mind also then begin, the more you focus on the more I focused on the yang, the more my mind also got into like, this is what I must be doing in order to be developing the reality that I want. And if something wouldn't work, I would be very upset. And my mind would immediately go into, oh my goodness, nothing will work out. It will, never happen for you. So in this video, I want to talk to you again about yin, as I myself rediscovering again this balance and moving again toward the yin. Now, hopefully bringing all my experience and knowledge working with yang aspect as well. The truth is that the reality is incredibly magical. And it has the same kind of a plasticity, probably maybe even bigger, that our brain has. Things can move and change. And if I'm talking about my personal reality, then they will move and change a lot with my inner movement and change. So this is where sometimes for people it gets actually very uncomfortable, because if the way I feel inside of myself, the way I think inside of myself will be then reflecting the reality that I live in, if I have this programming running that nothing will work out, or to various degree an inner self-rejection that all of us have in my experience, then it's a very depressing thought. Even if I'm making 2 steps forward, I'm having a bad day and I'm again 5 steps backward. And so we begin to feel fear of life and fear of ourselves, because I'm like this changing and moving and unpredictable and uncontrollable experience that can take me to all kinds of directions. And I don't really have like a simple how-to technique to cancel that. Actually, quite on the opposite. That's just what I observe that being a human is. What I find though, that there is within all of this dancing and changing a choice that a human consciousness can make. I can be aware of my experience. And as I'm being aware of my experience, I can choose how I not even react to it, but the reaction, because the initial reaction is often automatic, but because I can continue to be in observation of the experience, I can continue to choose the quality that I want to bring into that space where everything is happening. And that reminds me how many years ago I was sitting in front of my supervisor. I was a young student doing my first ever practicum in clinical psychology. And I remember she asked me, what do I think is the most important component in therapy? What do I think is the most, transformative intervention that a therapist can make? And I remember telling her, it's love. I actually believe that this is the only thing, that the only thing that a human needs to self-regulate, to come to harmony emotionally, mentally, is love. And she smiled and she said, only love is not enough. And then she was talking about structure and knowledge. But I continued in my life not being convinced. I so deeply knew that love is most powerful and that the kind of a love that I mean, that I refer to, that's completely enough. That's actually all that we need. And the more we are sinking into it, the more we are present and begin to live in this, I don't like the word vibration because it's like there are better vibrations and worse vibrations, but it is like, it does feel like a vibration. It does feel like something that radiates like circles and circles and circles from my heart. The more I live there, the more sense of peace and wholeness, gratitude, adoration are going to be coming in. And when I'm stepping out of this, of love, where I'm getting to the places inside of me where there is no love, that there is frustration and hatred and rejection and anger and desire to destroy and pain, in these places, this is very miserable. And I did not find anything more powerful than to be in observation with the quality of I'm here. I see you. I hear you. And you can be in me. So whatever experience I would get to, this is what I train myself to come back to bring into the experience. Not to try to change something about the pain, because I don't feel I can. It's so powerful. These emotions are just an incredibly powerful Shakti. That when you're there, it doesn't want to be changed. But because there is this choice, there is the ability to bring the quality of you can be here. Opening myself up. You can be here. It's okay. How do you develop this trust? I don't know. It's just little by little when you discover that this is what soothes, this is what brings warmth and self-regulates. I think somehow the body mind, the psyche, the intellect are beginning to adopt more and more. It's almost like a neuronal pathway is built where I'm choosing more and more and more to go to that state. So the in aspect is like literally saying, that's it. I'm completely falling and leaning back into love, melting into it, surrendering to it, being held by it. Dear love, do whatever you want with me. I'm completely yours. That sense of a very deep surrender and trust. And I want to invite you to notice what happens when you imagine yourself letting go into a deep sense of union with life. And as I'm saying these words, if you want to try and sense, see what you feel inside of your chest, inside of your belly, inside of your pussy or penis, in your entire body, emotional, energetical. Even if the words do not make much sense to you, I invite you to still stay in observation. What do I sense? What can I notice? And I can share that for me, there is so much joy that I notice, and excitement. There is warmth, there is a sense of wonder, as if I'm really a second before something incredibly magical is happening. Which is really funny because right now my husband is in a very interesting meeting, important meeting. So I literally might be a few seconds before something incredible happening, and we will know it soon. And as it all unfolds, and then what I do, I continue to stay present with this experience. And what I noticed that this wave, again, because everything is changing in the emotional reality, it's going to be changing too.
Wow.
You know, it's really hard to trust life, self, to trust that wherever life is taking me, it's going to be a great ride. But I think that this is where the happiness lives, in this relationship that human forms with herself, with the life, the way it flows through her, like a dance between vast, boundaryless power and a limited mind, limited body, and unlimited creative energy. They are coming together. We are living in times when consciousness expands to be aware of this union of the two, of the possibility of this union of the two. And we are stepping into unknown. We are stepping into a place where I think humanity, as a collective, have not been there yet. I wish you to have a very beautiful year, and I will keep doing my best to support you on this path of expansion, of growing in love, in presence, as you're living your human embodied experience.